All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, after it appeared to be a slam dunk that Jim Harbaugh would be the next head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, he has decided to return to the University of Michigan to remain as the school's head football coach. Now, either way, this puts Michigan in a tough spot as we've seen other football programs around the nation. They're in the process of solidifying their respective recruiting classes, and Michigan for the last month or so has been in limbo. Now, as Michigan was waiting around for Harbaugh, they lost defensive coordinator Mike McDonald to the Baltimore Ravens, as now he's going to work with Harbaugh's brother Jim, or pardon me, John. Michigan still has a solid recruiting class because a lot of this was done during the early signing period. However, with that said, this is still a critical time right after the bowl games where teams are going out there talking with recruits, making their final pitch, you name it. And, the recruits, as well as the assistant coaches and the school, have been really put in a very difficult spot. Now, some people are going to ask, was this a power play by Harbaugh to get some more money from Michigan? Honestly, I don't think so. I really think that in Harbaugh's heart, he was trying to get back into the NFL. But for me, I feel like whichever job that Harbaugh was going to take in the NFL, he would want some control. He would want a long-term contract, kind of like what we saw John Gruden get a couple of years ago from the Raiders. Uh, but that was not the case. Of course, new Vikings general manager Kwesi Adolfo Mensah worked with the San Francisco 49ers while Jim Harbaugh was there. It looked like there was going to be some familiarity with that. But however, with that said, I think Harbaugh wanted the lion's share of the control, my personal opinion. And you think about it, you look back to Harbaugh's tenure with the San Francisco 49ers, and he clashed with former Niners general manager Trent Baalke. Then you figure since leaving the 49ers at the end of the 2014 season, Harbaugh's been the guy at Michigan. The only person he's really had to answer to during his time in Ann Arbor is the AD. So, Harbaugh wants that control, as do, most big time head coaches. So I look at it from that sense that there was a potential power struggle there, and the Vikings simply passed on having Harbaugh. Now, I look at it like this. Some people are going to ask, will this be the last time that Harbaugh flirts with the NFL? I'm going to say no, because at the end of the day, I think Harbaugh is going to end up back in the NFL at some point. I think this is a wake up call for the University of Michigan. I don't think that Michigan is going to sit up there and allow this to consistently happen. I know that Harbaugh is one of their favorite sons. Of course, he played for the Maize and Blue, and now he's coaching the Maize and Blue. And Michigan just came off of one of their best seasons, arguably their best season in the last 2 decades. They won the Big Ten outright for the first time since 2003, and they made their first appearance in the college football playoff. And how can I overlook the fact that Harbaugh got his first victory as a head coach at Michigan over Ohio State? But you look at it like this: in order to keep up with the Ohio States of the world, you got to go out there and recruit your tail off. And this right here puts Michigan, in my opinion, a little bit further behind the Buckeyes. And let's be realistic. Uh, the Buckeyes, they're probably going to use that loss to Michigan as big time motivation heading into the offseason, and of course heading into the 2022 college football campaign. Of course, in about 11 months, pardon me, a little bit less than that right now, 9 months, these two teams are going to get it on in Columbus. And I guarantee you that the Buckeyes have circled that game on the calendar like they always do. But nonetheless, in order to keep up with Ohio State, you got to be on top of your game. And I know this past college football season started with Harbaugh having to check his ego because he took a pay cut. And, as expected, because, Michigan in 2020, it wasn't good. They were 2-4. And, there were some people who were calling for his job. And let's be realistic. There have been people who have been calling for Harbaugh's job for the past couple of years due to the fact that yes, Michigan could win, but they struggled against the better teams. They put all of that to bed this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I really think that the powers that be at Michigan want Harbaugh to be committed to the program for the long term. So we're going to see what happens. Will he get a raise? He probably will, after winning the Big Ten, and rightfully so. But it's going to be interesting to see where that relationship goes. But I'll tell you like this: if Harbaugh flirts with the NFL again, I think he's out the door. And I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I think he's going to find the right fit. But it's going to come down to control. Which NFL owner is going to give Jim Harbaugh the control that he is seeking? Because I don't think that the money will be an issue, because I think whichever potential NFL owner wants Jim Harbaugh, they're going to be willing to pay him. It just comes down to the control. He's going to want more say in personnel decisions. He's going to want more say in the draft and so forth. So we're going to see how that plays out. But as of right now, Harbaugh's still at Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see, even going into next season in regards to recruiting, how many other big time coaches are going in college football are going to attempt to use what we saw this offseason against Harbaugh. They're probably going to tell kids, listen, hey, this guy, he's looking at the NFL. He's not staying there long term. And, as a way to potentially sway some of the top prospects that could be potentially looking at Michigan to go in another direction. But the bottom line is Harbaugh is still with the Maize and Blue. It looked like it was going to be a slam dunk with him going to the Vikings. That is not the case. So let's see what's going to happen going forward with the relationship in regards to Jim Harbaugh and Michigan. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.